Okay, see, we are live now on Facebook. So I will just go ahead and get started. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the January 25th, 2023 meeting of the San Francisco Democratic Party. My name is Honey Mahogany, and I am chair of the SF Democratic Party, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Again, welcome back to everyone. I know it's been a couple months since we have convened this body, and so I'm excited to see everybody here and hopefully get to work. We have a year ahead of us in preparation for some pretty big elections in 2024. So it should be a good time to buckle down and really help build up the Democratic Party here in San Francisco, and also make sure that we're registering as many people to vote as possible in preparation for next year. That being said, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Why don't we go ahead and start with the roll call? Recording Secretary Lee, are you ready to call the roll?
I am. Thank you, Chair Mahogany. All right. Happy New Year, everyone. Member Avalos.
Present until 7 o'clock. I have to run.
Excellent. We're glad to have you here. Member Baraka.
Present.
Member Berry.
Present.
Member Campos. Member Chen. Member Dufty.
Here.
Member Galado.
Present.
Member Banez.
Present.
Member Kim. Member Lacroix. Member Lee here. Member Loftus. Member Lovett. Member Chair Mahogany. Member
Here.
Mandelman. Member Mandelman. Member Marr.
Present.
Member Maliga.
Present by proxy.
Member Morales. Member Raju. Member Ronan. Member Thomas. AJ, Member Thomas. I see him in here. Okay. Member Tung.
Here.
Member Williams.
Here by proxy.
Member Zoe.
Here.
Got it. Member Feinstein.
Here by proxy.
Member Pelosi.
Here by proxy.
Welcome, Member Mullen. Member Kounalakis. Member Ma.
Here by proxy.
Member Cohen.
Here by proxy.
Member Weiner.
Here by proxy.
Member Haney.
Here by proxy.
And Member Ting. All right, if you are present, yep, got you, Member Thomas. If you are here and you didn't say your name, just add it to chat and I'll catch you. But Chair Mahogany, we do have quorum.
Thank you so much, Recording Secretary Lee. Really appreciate your work there. And glad we can go ahead and get started with the rest of the meeting. Next on our agenda, item number 2 is approval of the meeting agenda. And I do have some amendments that I would like to make. Some of them are just perfunctory. I think it's listed as January 25th, 2022, and we are now officially in 2023. Happy New Year. So we will need to make that amendment to the agenda. Additionally, I believe items 7 through 11 should be numbered. Items 9 through 13 on the agenda. So I'd like to make that amendment. And then we are actually going to table item number 5 for today until the next meeting. And in addition, we have item number 12 on our 72-hour notice, a resolution in support of the local 87 workers who are currently demonstrating at the Twitter building who are laid off. And so I would like to add that to the agenda as well. Would someone like to make a motion to add those, to amend the agenda with those items?
So moved. Member
Second.
Duffy.
Second by Ibanez.
Thank you so much. So in order to approve the agenda as amended, are there any other amendments that folks would like to put forward? Okay, seeing none, we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended. That's been seconded. All those in favor, I think we can do this by acclamation. So all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you so much. We will now move on to item number 3, approval of the meeting minutes. This, I know that our recording secretary, as well as our executive director and our interns, worked really hard at updating our meeting minutes for the past few months. Executive Director Garcia, where are we with that?
The minutes are complete. They just weren't attached to this agenda. So for July and August, I'd request for them to be tabled till next month.
Okay, great. So for today, we have, do we have any minutes to approve?
Yes, September and October.
Okay, great. So if we can move forward with approving the September and October meeting minutes and tabling the ones from July and August, if we can have a motion to do so.
So move, Member Ibanez.
Thank you, Member
Second.
Ibanez. Seconded by Vice Chair Lacroix. Thank you so much. I think we can also do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, colleagues, thank you so much. We will now move on to general public comments. Item number 4, this is a time for members of the public to be able to express their views, opinions, and give commentary on any of the agenda items that are listed on today's agenda. So very excited to hear from the public. I see we already have a hand up. And for this portion of the meeting, I will pass it on to our Executive Director, Moises Garcia. Thank you so much, Edie Garcia.
Thank you, Chair. Let's see. If you would like to make public comment, please use the raise hand function, which can be found at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're listening to this meeting via your phone, please dial *9 to enter the queue. If you have any difficulties, please send an email to info@sfdemocrats.org. Each member of the public will have 2 minutes to address the SFDCCC. Associate SFDCCC members have floor privileges and may exceed the 2-minute time limit. I'll promote folks in the order that I see your hand raised, and thank you in advance for your patience. I see 2 hands. I'll promote Susan Pfeiffer and Kim Taglioni. Go ahead, Susan.
Hi, good evening. This is an experiment. What is it like to be live on a DCCC meeting, sitting in my nightgown at home? Do you ever have that dream that you wake up and you're somewhere with a huge audience and you forgot to get dressed? I'm not having the dream. I'm trying to find the right glasses too. I have an incredibly bad cold that has had me flat on my back in bed for the last 4 days. You may hear it in my voice, but I've been to the doctor and it is just a cold. Famous last words, just a cold. But I did want to thank Peter for doing this resolution and for recognizing the work of the volunteers. I wrote a short recipe for a great phone bank office, just a couple of ingredients: good cheer, great tools, decent scripts, fantastic volunteers to lead the way, amazing interns, and the leadership of Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi and her staff. I'm also thanking Christine Pelosi and Dan Burnell for their SF leadership, and especially Gary McCoy for outfitting a headquarters better than anyone could imagine. Every time I said, we need blah, 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 Gary would say, we have it. It's on one of the shelves, usually a top shelf where I didn't see it. So there was virtually not much that we needed, was all outfitted. Christine was our spirit guide. who made calls from the office almost every day during the last month. She camped out on the couch and did the work with us. Dan Burnell kept us well fed while also providing business to local eateries, even ones that I didn't know had vegetarian or vegan entrees, and we found out they did, and it was available, and if we needed. They also fed the volunteers that picketed the coffee shop on Castro as well, and we provided the bathroom for them. So because they were there all day. Now, Christmas came early for Shelley, who was our receptionist that greeted everyone. That was the day that Gary told her that she could give out all the T-shirts, wristbands, buttons, doodads, and with anything with Pelosi's name on it. It was like Christmas. So anytime anyone walked in, she was right there to say, take a pic, take anything you like. And it was kind of a fun game. If somebody spent more than 15 seconds looking through the window, because we had these posters everyone wanted, Shelley would be out there in a flash, tracking them halfway down the block to invite them in to get free stuff. So that was fun watching. In fact, we would start the clock anytime someone stood in the window for about 15 seconds. So let me go back. Okay, Shannon was our loving mom who treated all volunteers like they were her family. Gentle, soothing, nurturing, even the most challenging volunteers. And we did have a few. And she got to know virtually all of them by name. And unlike me, she still remembers all their names. I'm famous for forgetting names. She was like their earth mom. And I also remember the day Roz decided to move a freestanding shelf unit from the back up to the front, in front of the window, and made that her permanent standing desk. She noticed one of the new volunteers, Phil, who was one of my favorites. He'd never phone banked before. And he came in a few times, very nervous, lots of questions, wanted to see the script, wanted to check the systems, etc. And then he would come in every day on his lunch hour. He was actually a building inspector for the city of San Francisco. And there was a ledge above where we had the tables, and he put his laptop up there and made it a standing desk. So Roz decided she wanted one as well. So she was in the window every day doing that. And she would just come in every afternoon and stay for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, just making phone calls. Her dedication was amazing. And if we needed anything else, she was always there available. And except for a few days when her job interfered, she was there every afternoon. She was also our COVID monitor. She was very concerned about COVID. So we had to have the door open anytime she was in there. And if it started to get a little breezy and cold as winter approached, I'd look around, yep, Roz is here, the door is open, and it's staying open. And to my knowledge, I don't think anyone who came into the phone bank was ever diagnosed with COVID. If they were, they didn't tell us. One volunteer's friend called us and told us her friend had been there a few days before and had come down with it, but did not think that's where she got it. And I don't think we had any cases. So I want to thank Roz for her diligence on that. And then just the spirit of the team. We had good tools, and we had a lot of information on the candidates. And the people just kept coming back. There were a few regulars who came back all the time, and they understood the value of it. And when we won, much better than anyone expected, we knew that was from our spirit of making those calls. It does make a difference. So I want to thank the DCCC. Oh, and also I do want to add, I'm not thinking clearly tonight, and I apologize, that it was wonderful fun working with Sean and Ishan. Ishan being the newest and the youngest, was just fun watching him learn about politics, and his eyes widen. And the same with Sean. They were learning the value of what they were doing and how it relates to politics and how winning an election can make a difference. So that energy kept us going. And So that's pretty much it. We were a team, all of us working together with a common goal, and it worked.
Thank you for your comments. Next is Kim Tablioni. And if anyone else would like to make public comment, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. Go ahead, Kim. You're on mute.
Hello, all. Thank you for taking the time to let me speak tonight about the Twitter workers. As you all are aware, the Twitter janitors were basically thrown out of the building late last year, and they're continuing their fight. We had a spirited rally today at noon, and Twitter workers from New York joined the picket line and spoke at the rally. The workers in New York are going through the same thing. And I just want to urge you all to please vote yes on this resolution. It's another step in making sure that Elon Musk treats his workers the way he should, and just sends a clear message that San Francisco is a union town and that we need to protect those things and protect these workers because they are so vulnerable. And this is a true David and Goliath type of fight. And, we'll win because we're determined to win. But we need your support, and passing this resolution is a good step forward. Thank you so much for hearing me out. Have a good evening.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, there are no more members of the public with their hand raised.
Okay, we will thank you for those members of the public who came out to speak. Especially special thanks to Susan Pfeiffer for all her leadership at the Keep It Blue office, and of course to Kim Tablioni for her leadership at the San Francisco Labor Council and for speaking on behalf of the resolution today. With that, we will close public comment, and moving right along, we are tabling item number 5. So we will move on to item number 6. And I did want to say item number 6 and 7 on today's agenda are the result of redistricting that has happened across the city. So we have had Assembly District lines move, and as everyone here probably knows, people are elected to this body, the San Francisco Democratic Party, based on which Assembly District they are in. Unfortunately, we did have the lines shift and push out some members, but fortunately, there was a bit of a switcheroo. AJ Thomas was moved out of, I believe, 19 into 17, if that's, am I correct? And then Hanzo moved out of 17 and into 19. And so rather than appointing completely new people to the body, I am choosing to use my power as chair to reappoint both of these people back to the body that they were already on. So I'm hoping that this is non-controversial and we can move through this quickly. But the first one up is Member Thomas. And at this time, Member Thomas, I don't know if you wanted to actually take a second to say anything before we took this to a vote.
I appreciate everybody's work here, and I appreciate working with everybody here. Don't want to keep everybody with a long speech or anything, but it's been great working with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I see there is a hand raised. Is that Member Dufty?
Yes. In the spirit of 30 seconds or less, I just want to say what a great job that AJ did with the fundraiser, working with the committee, and he really put his heart and soul into it. And I just want to thank him and acknowledge his hard work on the fundraising side, which isn't always fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Dufty. I don't see any other hands. Can I have a motion to approve the appointment of Member Dufty?
So moved.
Thank you. And Mr. Checkle?
I second.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Checkle. Second for Mr. Checkle. I believe we can do this also by acclamation. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the vote seems to have been unanimous. Congratulations.
Thanks,
Now,
everyone.
Member Thomas. With that, we will move on to item number 7, which is the appointment of Hanzo to the SF Democratic County Central Committee. Again, this is someone who was already serving this body diligently, and really excited to have him be back on this body. Mr. Zoe, would you like to make any comments?
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. Sorry, everyone, I'm off camera. I am in the middle of cooking my dinner, so things are boiling and things are frying. But I'll keep it short as well. As Member Thomas, I'm looking forward to working with everyone and continuing to do the work. I know it's a slower year up ahead, but like Chair Mahogany said, we have a big 2024, and this will be a great year to prepare our party for it. So look forward to working with everybody this year.
Thank you, Mr. Zoe. Would anyone else like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the appointment of Hanzo to the DCCC?
So moved.
I believe that was Mr.
Avalos.
Member Avalos. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, proxy for Mr. Ting, or for Member Ting, Mr. Checkle. We can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Han needs to tell us what he's making for dinner. It's not fair. Frying and boiling? I want to know.
I'm making frozen Trader Joe's dumplings.
Sounds
not exactly a
delicious,
culinary masterpiece, but that'll be good.
but delicious nonetheless. With that, congratulations, Member Zoe. You are again a member of the DCCC. We can now move on to item number 8, which is the reports from our officers. Starting with a report from the chair. For myself, I was really thinking that I was very glad that we had November and December off. I mean, we had 4 elections this last year. It was an incredibly busy time for the Democratic Party, for everyone who was running, but also, I mean, our endorsements committee, our field committee, our outreach, everyone was really, really busy during this election period, our fundraising committee, certainly. And so it was a very intense 2022. But luckily 2023 does seem to hopefully be a little bit slower, which will give us the chance to prepare for the upcoming 2024. To that end, we did have an executive board retreat this last weekend, where we set up some goals, also revisited some of the roles of the executive board members to ensure that we're doing everything we can to strengthen our Democratic Party. One of our key goals as a Democratic Party in this next year is definitely going to be outreach, making sure we are speaking to voters, showing up at events, and knowing that, you know, our constituents and our communities can be and should be connected to us as a body, and that we are listening to them and also hearing what is going on with them. So that is going to be one of our biggest priorities over this next year. We also are going to be renewing our efforts to ensure that we are registering people to vote. I think we, you know, for many of us, especially on the eastern side of the city, there's so much more opportunity, I think, to really register voters, making sure that people are aware of how important it is to vote, making sure that we improve language access and also direct a person-to-person outreach, and ensuring that we're getting everyone we can the opportunity to vote. So this is something that, again, the Democratic Party has been working on, but we are going to really rededicate ourselves to over this next year in particular. And then finally, you know, it does take money to do all of this. And so we had a very, very strong fundraising year last year, partially because we had so many elections, but also due to the diligent efforts of many people on this body who comprise the fundraising committee. And we will be relying on people again this year to help raise money for the party. So For all of you who are serving on this board who have not yet joined a committee or who haven't had the opportunity to yet because you've been too busy, hopefully 2023 will be the year where we get you involved because again, we will need to strengthen the party in preparation for 2024. With that, I don't want to take away anyone else's shine. I know that there's plenty to be reported in some of the other officer reports. So I will go ahead and pass it on to our Vice Chair of Outreach, Vice Chair Lacroix.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. And hello, everybody. It's so nice to see you in this new year, 2023. Oh, I see air fryer in the chat. Huh? So I just wanted to say that, yes, voter outreach and voter registration are some things that we're going to be very much spearheading this year and leading into, especially since we don't have an election. Yes. With that, I think as of right now, it's myself, Keith, and Peter on the outreach committee. If anyone else wants to join, we are so welcome and happy to have you. I just want to give you a preview of some of the things that we brainstormed during the retreat. Things like participating more in community events like neighborhood street fairs, Sunday streets, farmers markets, producing some more public programs related to Black History Month, disability awareness, and then something when it comes to our Democratic clubs is bringing back the leadership circle and having programming set up for the leaders and our Democratic clubs to just really tap into the resources that they may need and also create space for them to kind of share with other club leaders like what exciting programs and plans that they have for 2023. And also, we are looking to grow our outreach, not just in the in-person space, but in the digital space to meet people where they are. A lot of people are still, very much wanting to stay indoors or away from larger events. And so we want to meet people where they are. And so increasing the Democratic Party's visibility in digital spaces as well. And so I'm excited to kind of help lead that this year. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you to, really make sure that the Democratic Party continues to be a household name for San Francisco and San Francisco Democrats. So thank you so much. And I'll turn it over to the next Vice Chair, Keith Baraka, for voter registration.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry. I can't be on camera today because I'm also out of town. I should say I'm out of town again. Can you hear me? Great.
We can hear you, Keith.
Yes, we can hear you.
If folks would like to join the voter registration committee, please reach out to me. I'm on WhatsApp, text me, also on Telegram, 577-6858. I'm always in the 415. That's been my number for the last 20 years. So there you go. That's the best way to reach out to me. I'd like to continue doing some voter outreach that is non-traditional. So hopefully some folks would like to give some ideas on how we might change up the voter registration that we've traditionally done in the past. Please join our voter registration committee. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Baraka. We'll now move on to club chartering. I believe this is actually going to be passed on to Member Thomas, but I will just briefly say that I have identified that we want to do more directly with our clubs, helping them build up their capacity. I've already started chatting with some of our clubs just around some of their needs, but we're planning on doing a bigger sort of roundtable event coming up shortly. Member Thomas, did you have any more you wanted to say about club chartering?
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. I'd say just briefly, I know that I've spoken with Vice Chair Galata and Vice Chair Lacroix as well about a sincere interest in helping clubs. They've been through a ton over the last couple of years with COVID devastating not just the city's population, but a lot of civic engagement. And the leadership has been pretty outspoken about needing support. And I know that a lot of our group are here at the DCCC want to see what we can do to lend these club leaders support. So we're all teaming together, and we're going to form this working group to really try to get the clubs all the support they can have. I'm looking forward to working with everybody who's interested in joining us. And I know that one of the big kickoffs Moises mentioned and Chair Mahogany mentioned is that we want to start the leadership roundtables and meeting with the leaders of the various clubs to find out what they need most and how we can provide that support. So by all means, similar to Keith, y'all already have my number, but feel free to call me. I'll be happy to plug you into the committee and working group, and we'll get this started right away. Thank you, Chair.
I just want to piggyback on what AJ was saying and just add into all of the club leaders listening. Please send us your updated contact information. We'd love to have that if you haven't already. I know that a lot of you have had new changes in leadership, maybe have new boards. So please send that to us so that we can have it reflected on our website. And just so we know who's doing what these days. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Vice Chair Lacroix. We will now move on to issues and resolutions. Vice Chair Lovett, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. So as we are starting this new year, and Happy New Year of the Rabbit for the Lunar New Year, I just want to say that we can find ways to be reinvigorated in the work that we do. And it happens in so many spaces. 3 months seems like a long time since we've all connected here. But with all the phone banks, with the work that all our volunteers and all our interns did, I felt so invigorated through that whole process. And I want to connect the work that we do kind of on a daily basis, whether it's standing up for the workers who were forced out of Twitter, to whatever we do on a daily basis for social justice, that all these issues, social justice, economic justice, housing justice, are connected. During the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration, at the Labor Day event, the Labor Council event, I felt like this was one of the most powerful events because we connected with all these dimensions that spiritual leaders brought. Martin Luther King Jr. himself was a spiritual leader, and whatever faith you come from, this is something where you connect across, the needs of all the people, from the most vulnerable in our society to those who have the most resources. And I listened again that night to the speech that he delivered the day before he was assassinated. And he was in Memphis out there for the sanitation workers, and most of them were people of color. So we now flash forward to what is happening at Twitter, to what is happening in so many different spaces where workers do not get their fair wages, or they are forced out of their jobs, or they don't have rights, on and on. So in making those connections, we celebrate MLK Day not just as one day, but as a charge and a call to be reinvigorated in the work that we want to do and need to do as a Democratic Party for the rest of the year. And I'm excited to work with you all, to work with folks in turning out voters and engaging with communities and with the most, the communities who are the most vulnerable. I'll hand it back to Chair Mahogany.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lovett. And apologies, I think I went in the wrong order. Vice Chair Galata, I believe you are giving us a report on communications.
Thanks, Chair Mahogany. Good evening, colleagues. Happy 2023, happy Lunar New Year. It's good to be back with our regularly scheduled programming. And I just wanted to say just a word of congratulations to all the recently elected Democrats serving in all levels of office, representing our city. We look forward to working with you on a number of our priorities over the coming year. And we've talked a little bit about some of those already. As third vice chair, my focus has been on partnerships over the past few years, and I will continue to be focusing on partnerships as part of my work this year. But in addition, I'm going to be expanding a little bit of my focus to support on communications, just to help enhance the party's communications kind of across our channels, and help us deliver on some of our priorities. And so we did actually hold, to start off the year, we kicked off with our first communications committee meeting on January 9th. Vice Chair Lacroix, Recording Secretary Lee, and Executive Director Garcia were in attendance. And we discussed some of our communications opportunities and priorities for the year. So we're looking at focusing on growing our newsletter list and relaunching our monthly newsletter out to our subscribers. If you do not receive our e-newsletter, you can sign up on our website so you can start receiving communications directly from us. I think all the members here do, hopefully, but if not, you should be on our email list. We're going to be helping to promote Democratic Party and club events and getting the word out about local events, workshops, programming. We'll be looking at content and user experience improvements on our website just to make information more readily accessible for the community and for voters. And then, of course, supporting just across our programmatic priorities like voter registration, community outreach, and supporting our clubs, the relaunch of the leadership circles, and other partnerships. So our next communications committee meeting we're turning to monthly. So our next meeting will be on Monday, February 13th at 5:30 p.m. We're meeting virtually, so everybody's welcome. You're welcome to attend if you'd like. We welcome also your ideas and suggestions that you have. So feel free to just reach out to me directly if you have ideas and thoughts. We welcome your creative ideas and improvements that you think we can make. And then I think with that, I'll save my kind of partnerships report for later when we come back to the Keep It Blue resolution. So thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Galata. We'll now move on to a report from our treasurer, although I believe Treasurer Morales isn't able to make it. So Director Garcia, are you able to provide a brief summary of her report?
Yes, Chair Mahogany, and sorry for being off screen. I'm having internet issues. So at this moment in time, we have $15,500 in our federal account and $34,000 in our state account. So it's about $53,000 in total, which is about 4 months of operating expenses for the party. And we still have about $23,000 in accounts receivable, both from our expenditures for the election, as well as the fundraising for the gala. And we're set to receive $7,000 reimbursement or refund, sorry, from the Palace Hotel for expenses that we did not incur. And so that's great. So we have about $30,000 outstanding for party operations to really buttress all the programs that folks have been outlining. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Chair.
Great. Thank you, Executive Director Garcia. Our next line item is fundraising, and all that just to say we are, still following up with some checks from folks from our last fundraiser, which was very successful. And also we are already thinking about our gala for this year. So for those of you who are interested in being a part of a committee that's really fun, if you had thoughts about the gala or opinions and you wanted to help us make it even better, why don't you go ahead and join the fundraising committee. I will be helping to lead that committee, and we will have, I believe, our executive director and our treasurer on the committee as well. So if folks are willing to hop on, we would love to have you. Member Thomas.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Executive Director Garcia and to our treasurer, and to Kathleen as well for the follow-up with the Palace Hotel. The least interesting thing to do is go with a fine-tooth comb through the final bill and make sure that everything is accurate. And that working group was still doing it, even well after the event, and they managed to get all the numbers just perfectly right. And that was a ton of work. So I just want to give them a shout out for all the work that went into that.
Yes, thank you so much. And also, thank you to the Palace Hotel as well, who, really did treat us very, very well. And we had a very successful event thanks to them. So we're very appreciative. With that, we will move on to, let's see, our report from our executive direct. Oh, I'm sorry, interns. Vice Chair Levitt, is there an update on interns?
Sorry, just unmuting myself here. So our interns are continuing in their work, although we'll need to scope that out in a different way. This is really thanks to I still want to say Speaker Pelosi, but Speaker Emerita Pelosi and all the support that she has provided for the interns, which typically has been a summer program. We extended that into the fall, understanding and bringing on both Sean Hale and Ishan Bhattacharya, knowing how critical it was, not just for the November elections, but also for the special runoff that Reverend Warnock had to face again for a Senate seat in Georgia. And now that that has all successfully taken place with the phone banks, we are moving into the next phase. So typically interns do a lot of communications work for us. And there is still a laundry list of projects we have had from a year ago that we will be working with them on so that they can support our efforts around community engagement, voter outreach, partnerships, all the areas that we're trying to build the strength of the Democratic Party going to this year. And it's not, it might seem like a sleepy year because we will not have 2023 elections, but the work continues in the communities. So we deeply appreciate them.
Thank you, Vice Chair Levitt, for that update. And certainly we have gotten a lot of benefit and use out of our interns, but we also have plenty more work for them to do. So I would also love to see this program actually be year long. It's something that we can definitely use in terms of helping us with our communications, with communications from the party. I am not the best on Twitter, Instagram, and all of those things. And I feel like with our younger people, they've been able to really help us. I mean, maybe they can even help us create a TikTok or something. Those are all really useful tools that we could use, and hopefully they would also be getting some good learning experience working in advocacy on behalf of the Democratic Party. So definitely would love to see those that program continue and be throughout the year. So thank you for your work on that. Up next, we have a report from our Executive Director, Moises Garcia.
Chair, I think you skipped partnerships.
I believe Vice Chair Galata is going to do partnerships during his resolution.
Oh, apologies. Yeah, I'll keep it brief. So primarily have been supporting the ADEM elections this past month. Was happy to host, help out with both 8017 and 8019 and hold some office hours for folks that wanted to participate in the election. And then outside of that, I've just been doing a lot of forward planning with the executive board and budgeting to really ensure that we can meet all the, to meet the financial needs that we are gonna, that are outlined with all the programs that we hope to resume and really buttress this next year.
Thank you, Director Garcia, for all your work. Up next, do we have a CDP Region 6 Director Henny Kelly on the line to provide a report? I do not see her in unless she's the number that's called in.
No, I don't think she's able to join us, Chair.
Okay, wonderful. We will then move on to item number 9, and thus concluding our officer reports, and we will move on to our resolutions. So item number 9 is a resolution on AB 228 infant formula stockpile. It's brought forward by Member Barry. Do we have a motion to hear this item?
So move, Member Ibanez.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Member Thomas. Member Barry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. It's weird to present on my phone versus my laptop, but I'll try. Other than that, Happy New Year, Democrats. I guess no one here won the Mega Million lottery, but of course you will still be here anyway, right? Anyway, I'd like to thank all the women that co-sponsored this resolution, and Member Lee, please add members Williams and Chen. I reached out to the women to the best of my ability because while researching AB 228, I came across the fact that the Senate failed to pass the Pump Act in June at the height of the baby formula shortage. Issues of not being able to pump our breasts at work to feed our babies, then having a shortage of baby formula if we choose not to breastfeed, infuriated me. So basically, this resolution urges the Assembly to pass AB 228, an act to add Section 131022 to the Health and Safety Code. This will require the State Department of Public Health and the Office of Emergency Services to establish an infant formula stockpile. I'm thankful for Assemblyman Freddie Rodriguez for authoring this bill. Members, the stories I've heard from our own members makes me grateful to submit this. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Barry, for your leadership on this and for bringing this forward. Member Chen.
Hello, this is my new little one. I just really want to thank Member Barry for bringing this forward. I had her a couple months ago, and the formula shortage was still real then. It was very scary for me to just worry about not having enough milk to feed my kid. We even looked into going to Marin to buy formula because that was where it was available. And it's just really sad that this is happening. So thank you so much, Member Barry, for bringing this forward. It really means a lot.
Thank you, Member Chen. Member Ibanez.
Happy New Year and happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Yes, I'm in strong support of this resolution. It's not a brainer to be supportive, but I do know for a fact, as Member Chan and Member Barry indicated, it does impact women, but specifically it impacts poor women and very vulnerable women. And we need to make sure that we're thinking of that. And I think this is really, really important. It's important for us to be on record that we, as the San Francisco Democratic Party, we stand strongly behind this bill to ensure that this issue will not impact any families, any mother. It's really challenging, especially when you're poor, to think where you're going to get the next formula. Many times you may not be able to breastfeed your child for many different reasons, but to not be able to have the formula, it is just unthinkable. So I urge everyone to support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. Mr. Checkle.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany. I want to say that Assemblymember Ting, on behalf of Assemblymember Ting, I'm going to abstain on this just because it's legislation before the legislature. But as an individual, as an adoptive parent of a foster child, I want to underscore the importance of having formula availability for many reasons, including for children who are not able to breastfeed because of different reasons, including not having a mother who's able to provide breast milk. So thank you.
Thank you for highlighting that, Mr. Checkle. Is there anyone else who'd like to make comment on this item? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve this adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Vice Chair Lacroix, seconded by?
Second.
By Member Thomas. Thank you so much. I think we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? I know Assemblymember Ting is abstaining.
Thank you.
Hearing no other abstentions, this item is approved. Thank you so much again, Member Berry, for bringing this forward. We will now move on to item number 10, which is a resolution in recognition and appreciation of the Keep It Blue volunteers. And for this to be heard, can we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice and seconded by Member Thomas. Vice Chair Galata, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Chair Mahogany, and thank you for being a co-sponsor of this resolution. I will just say it's really such a pleasure and an honor to be able to bring forward this resolution tonight to recognize and appreciate some of the most hardworking and dedicated Democrats of the 2022 election cycle. And just if I may, if you'll oblige me with a few remarks tonight, just as we reflect on the past year, and also just my own words of appreciation. I just want to say, I think one of the things I enjoy the most about serving on the county committee is being able to bring Democrats together around the fights we actually can all agree on in San Francisco. And it was hard to find agreement last year with 4 local elections, but we certainly found it in the state and national races across the country where Democratic victories are all the more consequential. And, last year was not an easy year. There were a lot of competing priorities pulling people's attention all over the place, but there was a committed group of people who really made it their mission to help protect our democracy at the national level and across this country. And it actually really started back in April of last year in 2022 with the formation of the Bay Area Coalition, which is, as you all know, is a collection of Democratic action groups and county central committees. And I really did want to take a moment to acknowledge their work to galvanize kind of a Bay Area phone bank effort that started even before the June primary. And so this work started early last year. But it really made a difference, and it established kind of a network of phone bankers and phone bank captains and infrastructure that was really critical kind of going into the general election. But of course, in San Francisco, we said, we love the virtual, but it's time to bring folks back to in person so we can ring those bells and actually rally together. And thanks to Speaker Pelosi and Team Pelosi, the Keep It Blue office opened in August. And it never really stopped until like the final calls were made in the Georgia runoff election in December. And it really took a lot of persistence to build this office up and bring people back in person because it had been a while. And with everything else going on, to make sure that folks knew this was a priority, that we as Democrats needed to rally together. And we all know who is responsible for kicking our butts into action. And that, of course, is Susan Pfeiffer. And Susan, I just want to say to you directly, there really are not enough flowers or medals or other honorifics we could bestow upon you for your incredible work. We will try, but I just want to say that we're truly, truly indebted to your service and sacrifice. And you make us all want to be better Democrats in San Francisco. And, Susan and just the team that she talked about tonight in her public comment, the Keep It Blue team of phone bank captains and the all-star volunteers, they were really the backbone of the office, keeping the lights on, the calls going, the bells ringing at literally what seemed like all hours of the day. So I want to give a shout out to Shannon Fitzgerald, Roz Romney, Shelley Carroll, and there's just really too many rock star volunteers to name who were really there almost every day, getting people signed in, getting people trained, getting them on devices to make calls, checking in with them to make sure they were having a good experience, helping address questions about the candidates and about all the races we were calling for. It was really, really amazing and incredible, their sacrifice and their patience. I also want to thank our Democratic Party interns that were mentioned earlier, Sean and Ishan, who also were just, incredible, so patient, also helping to train folks on technology, which is not easy, getting people on Wi-Fi. It was just incredible to see them in action and also to see them really stepping into their kind of political activism and making so many calls to voters themselves, actually getting on the phones and breaking them into actually calling strangers. And they did such a fantastic job. We also had so many groups come through. I really want to especially acknowledge organized labor, Local 87. Even as they declared a strike, they had members come through in December to call into Georgia. Local 21, the California Nurses Association came through. San Francisco Labor Council, Adam Mayes was there making calls. We had Democratic clubs hosting nights, Alice, Milk, Latinx Dem Club, United Dems. Thank you, thank you, thank you for turning out and for hosting. There's so many people who had a hand in this. I'd be here all night naming names, but I do just want to name a few more, and that really is Team Pelosi. And I think Susan did a great job of acknowledging them, but I also would be remiss not to. And we have not just had the privilege of being able to bring Democrats together in person, if not for the leadership and commitment of our Speaker Emerita, who knows all too well how much was at stake and has been at stake in these past few elections, and that SF Democrats are really a secret national weapon when it comes to GOTV. So to Team Pelosi, Gary McCoy, Corey Powell McCoy, Dan Bernal, Christine Pelosi, thank you for all of your work behind the scenes and in the front of the scenes to make Keep It Blue a reality for all of us so that we all had this amazing space to gather in. As Susan mentioned, Christine was there almost every day during the Georgia runoff. And so it's just been a pleasure working with Team Pelosi in partnership on this phone bank effort, now going 3 elections strong from going back to 2018 with Red to Blue, also in the Castro. And so I just really want to thank Team Pelosi for your leadership and for your partnership with the party. So we didn't win everything. We know the outcomes, but we did prevent a red wave. It was really more of a trickle or a drizzle, if you ask me. But we did help reelect Mark Kelly. We elected Katie Hobbs, governor of Arizona, kept Catherine Cortez Masto in the Senate, kept our friend Reverend Warnock in the Senate in Georgia. Holding the Senate was a huge victory, keeping so many House seats that we did keep. And some that we flipped, that would not have been possible without all the calls that were made by San Francisco Democrats and Democrats across the country. So I could go on, but I would like to conclude my remarks by just taking a point of privilege, if possible, per the chair, to just read the resolution language. I know it's not customary that we do this, but I would, in this case, like to make an exception tonight, just so we can honor all the volunteers and our Speaker Emerita and read this resolution into the record tonight. So with that, resolution in recognition and appreciation of the Keep It Blue 2022 volunteers. Whereas Speaker Nancy Pelosi opened the Keep It Blue office in the Castro in the summer of 2022 as a volunteer hub space for hosting in-person phone banks for the November midterm elections to keep our Democratic House majority and add more Democratic seats in the Senate. And whereas the Keep It Blue office relied on the dedicated support from VIPs, or volunteers in politics, for conducting GOTV calls, the patience of phone bank captains to help train countless volunteers, as well as staffing from Team Pelosi and San Francisco Democratic Party interns to keep the office humming with activity for more than 4 months. And whereas since opening, the Keep It Blue office hosted dozens of phone bank sessions, saw hundreds of volunteers come through its doors, and thousands of calls made to turn out the vote and chase ballots to win critical victories in California, Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia. And therefore be it resolved that the San Francisco Democratic Party commends all of the volunteers who made GOTV calls at the Keep It Blue office during the 2022 midterm election cycle, and conveys our deep appreciation for their dedication, passion, energy, and perseverance to do the hard, unsung work to keep the health of our democracy strong. And be it further resolved that the San Francisco Democratic Party expresses its sincere thanks to our Speaker Emerita, Nancy Pelosi, and Team Pelosi for establishing the Keep It Blue office in 2022, providing this critical democratic infrastructure for San Francisco Democrats for multiple election cycles since 2018, and for making the space available for striking Starbucks workers and other labor actions, honoring the Speaker's slogan, "We don't agonize, we organize, and we unionize." And with that, I yield and welcome any colleagues for comments and co-sponsorship tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Galata. I see we have Mr. McCoy for Speaker Emerita Pelosi.
Thank you. I also think it's very equally important to give a shout out to the Democratic County Central Committee, especially Peter, Member Galata, Chair Mahogany, Executive Director Garcia, and it was an amazing effort by all of you and all of us. So I just want to make sure that Peter also gets a shout out. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you and all you've done for the party. Would anyone else like to make comment? Seeing none, I believe that we could do this by acclamation. Well, actually, we need a motion for approval. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move for approval.
I saw Recording Secretary Lee, and then who's the second?
Second.
All right, Vice Chair Lacroix. I think we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, congratulations. This passes unanimously. And again, thank you to all of our volunteers at the Keep It Blue office for all of your hard work this last year. With that, we have an addition to our agenda. I believe this is item number 11, and a resolution in support of Local 87 workers who were laid off by Twitter. This was introduced by Member Thomas. Can we have a motion to consider this item?
So move, Ibanez.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Member Thomas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Mahogany, and thank you, members of the DCCC, for letting me introduce a 72-hour item like this. But it is for something very important. I've spoken with most of you over the last week or so, and I'm sure everybody has been following the news about the massive layoffs in the tech sector all across the country, but especially in the Bay Area. And I think it's no better example about the importance of having a union to represent you than seeing a downturn in the economy and finding that when it's time for the little folks to band together and to fight back against injustice. You heard from Kim Taglioni from the Labor Council today. Olga Miranda from SEIU 87 regrets that she couldn't come and speak, but they do site visits in the evenings in that union, because that's when a lot of the work is being done. So she wasn't able to come for public comment, but sends her thanks as well to the SF Democratic Party for entertaining this. Additionally, I know that there are several of you that asked to be put on as co-sponsors, but unfortunately it's past the deadline. So if your name isn't on the one that was in the agenda, we'll have to add it here. Apologies for that. But it's for those who aren't familiar with it, this resolution is incredibly important because it allows the Democratic Party to stand up with one voice and say that workers need to be treated justly in this case, in every case, but especially here. These workers were let go just a few weeks before Christmas. They had no warning. There was not an appropriate notice. They were left without their salary, without severance, without health care going into the holidays. And SEIU let the employer know that they are required under law to keep folks on for 60 days, the employees of the outgoing contractor. So this is a case of some of the most vulnerable employees being treated the most unjustly. Things that we thought were already settled, that they're codified into law. So I appreciate everybody banding together and speaking with one voice in support of these janitors who were let go at the Twitter building.
Thank you, Member Thomas. Would anyone else like to make comment? And also just a reminder, if you'd like to be added as a co-sponsor, please list your name in the chat. Vice Chair Lacroix.
Yeah, I just want to I'll be brief and say thank you, Member Thomas, for bringing this resolution forward, especially with working with, our labor brothers and sisters to just get their approval as well. I just wanted to say I remember what, and I think it was in December when the Twitter janitorial workers came to public comment at the board, and I was moved to tears at just person after person just sharing their experience and how and just like knowing people in my own life who were janitors or like workers in that type of field, and it's just heartbreaking and it's disgusting what has been happening at Twitter. And I just wanted, I'll be brief and to say thank you for bringing this resolution forward.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix. Member Ibanez.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Member Thomas, for bringing this resolution. Just to share with everyone, the janitors to me are very special. They hold a real place in my heart. I started as a student organizing with the janitors back in the days when the Justice for Janitors campaign were starting, when they were organizing at Apple Computers. And this is not any difference from back then to now. What was done to the janitors is unconscionable. And it really shows that those are not the values that we have here in San Francisco, and supporting, and I know that there's a lot of members tonight asking to be added to the resolution, but in supporting this resolution really sends a message not only to Elon Musk, but to everyone in the high-tech industry and anyone else, is that as Kim Tavaloni, Executive Director of the Labor Council, is that San Francisco has always been a union town, and it will continue to be a union town. When we don't support our most vulnerable workers, what message does that send? So to me, this is really, really important that we stand with the janitors. The janitors do work that many people don't want to do, but at the end of the day, that job, that work is very honorable. Keeping those posh offices clean, it's really important. So with that, I stand 100% in support of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Ibanez. Vice Chair Lovett.
I want to echo what everyone has said before, and that lived experience is so powerful when you are working with people who are on the ground day in and day out, doing work that is noble. I say that because about 2 years ago, when I was a legislative aide in Member Marr, Supervisor Marr's office, the CSU, Cal State Union employees, the Cal State University Employees Union reached out to us, and we typically didn't have a lot of interactions with them. And my work had mostly been with the faculty union at City College. But here at SF State, they were facing unprecedented layoffs. It was affecting people's healthcare. Some people who had some serious health issues with their families, but it was really affecting the university. And this is the same thing, because you have an ecosystem where every employee's labor is valuable. And what they do in the case of CSU Employees Union was to really be the backbone for supporting students. And during the pandemic, and it was the maintenance of the university, it was the services, it was the IT, like all this stuff you don't think about. I had the chance to visit Facebook when a friend of mine worked there for a short time, and it's like you're in Disneyland. But when you are in that environment, you don't realize how important it is that there are so many people whose livelihoods depend on keeping that show running. And then, of course, with Twitter and with all our tech platforms, kind of keeping the lights on for all that stuff that we do in our modern lives, and especially with communicating with each other. So thank you so much to Member Thomas for carrying this resolution. And when these incidents happen, it's not isolated. It is the continuation of the injustices done to the most valuable people in our society, and those are the people working day in and day out on the ground.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Lovett. Are there any other DCCC members who'd like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, can we have a motion to approve the item?
So moved.
Motion. Second, Ibanez.
Lacroix moved, seconded by Abanez. I believe we can do this by acclamation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, this resolution is adopted unanimously. Congratulations, Member Thomas, and thank you again for your leadership in bringing this forward. We will now move on to item number 13, I believe, which is our final item. I'm sorry, item number 12, which is our final item closing this meeting. We do have a couple of in memoriams. Certainly, over this last month, I've personally been extremely shocked to see the number of mass shootings that have been happening here close to home in California. Certainly, we have Monterey Park, where many members of the API community, specifically seniors, were murdered as a part during Lunar New Year celebrations. And then we also had farm workers who were the victims of another shooting, or two separate shootings in Half Moon Bay. So I know that this body has been an outspoken advocate for gun reform and gun sense rules in San Francisco, and the state of California has very strong gun laws, and yet they are not perfect. And also, I think we are seeing that a lot of guns also get into the state by crossing borders from bordering states like Nevada, where the laws are much, much looser. And so we really do need gun reform. And I'm sorry, I know this is turning a little bit, this is not just in memoriam, but also a call to action, but we really do need that gun reform across the US. And that's why the work of Keep It Blue that we did as a Democratic Party is so important and will continue to be so important over this next year as we gear up towards 2024. So with that, I would like to propose that we do an in memoriam for both those who died during the Half Moon Bay mass shooting, as well as those who died during the Monterey Park mass shooting. And finally, I would also like to add on my own personal in memoriam for a friend of mine, Ivory Nicole Smith, who is a young Black trans woman who just died this weekend, and we don't know what happened. There may have been something nefarious that happened. We're still, waiting to hear back the news. But, for me, this is just a reminder that there is a lot of violence, even in California, even in San Francisco, even in the Bay Area. And we still have a lot more work to do in order to make things equitable and safe for everybody. So thank you. And I see we have more hands for in memoriams. Member Barry.
Thank you, Chair. I would also like to add, when it comes to gun violence, the 8 people that were shot in Oakland at the gas station, one 18-year-old who died as well. And then I also have a personal friend I'd like to honor. Her name is Shonda Anthony Williams. And her family were like Fillmore royalty growing up in District 5 back in the 80s. Shonda left behind her brother, Jeffrey, who was a star basketball player at Reardon, and her father, who was a coach for Galileo and also for City College San Francisco. Shonda was a natural in singing, dancing, and acting. She did so in school and throughout her adulthood. After she graduated from college, she became one of the youngest managers at Countrywide Mortgage in corresponding lending. She bought her first home at the age of 25. Shonda became an account executive and won many awards for top producer. She later moved on to JP Morgan Chase with the title of vice president. Shonda was able to retire at the age of 40 because she wanted to concentrate on her family. She leaves behind 2 children. Shonda opened her own nonprofit called Financial Empowerment for Women, where she helped people save their homes and gave financial advice. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Barry, for bringing that forward. Member Mandelman.
Hi, everybody. I am imagining, since we didn't meet in November or December, if that's right, we may not have honored Peter Gable, who died, and Peter was actually a member of this body. He was son-in-law of Agar Jakes. Some of you may remember Agar from the Agar, Jane, and Sue Bierman Democratic Party fundraisers on Woodland Avenue. Peter was dean of the New College or he was president of New College for 20 years. He was on the faculty at the law school for 30. He was one of the founders of Tikkun, was a force for social justice, demanding social justice in Noe Valley. And he died, and he's also the husband of Lisa Jakes, who some of you may know from Local 2. So I would like to add him to our list of folks who we are remembering. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Mandelman. Are there any other in memoriams people would like to put forward? Seeing no other hands, on that note, we will adjourn in the name of those who have passed over the last few months, whose memories will be missed, and whose work we honor tonight. So thank you, everyone, and have a happy new year, and we'll see you in February. Thank you so much.
Thank you.